Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Sanhedrin Daf Ayin Hey. We are going to begin on Ayin Hey Amud Aleph by the new Mishnah, the new parak. Ve'elu hein and esrafim. And the Rashi's gear says without a vav. So the Tosfos Yom Tov explains that the idea behind this is that the Mishnah Nun Gimel had the notion of talking about chayiv skila. So now we're going to talk about being chayiv sreifa. So that's the vav which connects the two. Okay. So haba al isha ubita. So it talks about a person who has relations with his wife and his daughter. Now this is, you're married to the woman, and then you had tashmish with her daughter. It says Rashi, Isha bita ksivi behedya. This is explicit. That if you were married to her daughter, and then you had tashmish with the daughter's mother, that's your mother-in-law. And chamoiso is actually explicit. That's actually not even through a drasha, but we see clearly it says be'esh yisrofu, that the individual would be punished in that way. Okay. Ubas kayin she zansa. Also, Ubas kayin, we know this one also is very clear, who is mazana. So that also is in the category. So let's see. So bas ish. So let's just get this finish up this Mishnah. Yesh b'chlal isha uvita. So there is within this category of a woman and her daughter, which again is case of achoso of chamoiso. Kleimer minayu yalfin and kul hanach b'gzer shava. Rashi says we're going to learn out all of these dinim, that there's an isser and there'll be a chiv sreifa through a kavachaymer. Bito, first of all, one's daughter. And Rashi says ma'unu sasoi dolobas ishto. We're not talking about your wife's daughter, but rather we're talking about she is the product not from your wife because you were married, but because you're ma'anis her, and she is the product of that relationship. Ubas bitoi, ubas beno. It's not just your daughter, but also your daughter's daughter, your son's daughter. So your granddaughter also, you'd be chayiv sreifa as well. Ubas ishtoi. And then it says, and your wife's daughter. So either bas ishto could be referring to your wife's daughter, or chamoiso, that you're married to either the mother or the daughter. Only chamoso is mafarish in the pasuk, as we already saw in Rashi. Ubas bito bas bina, and your son's daughter, your daughter's daughter, chamoisoi, and chamoso again is the mother-in-law. So chamoiso here is seemingly repetitious from Ishuvita, so the Gemara is going to address that. Ve'im chamoso ve'im chamav, and your mother-in-law's mother and your father-in-law's mother. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara, Habal isha, a person who has tashmish with a woman, shenasa bita lokatani, and then it says that you were married to her daughter, the daughter to the daughter he married, lokatani. It doesn't say that. Ella habal ishovita mechlal de tervayu isura. The idea of ishubita is coming to talk about both of them iser. Umanihu chamoisai. This is referring to your mother-in-law. So v'im chamoiso. So if we're also including not just your mother-in-law but your mother-in-law's mother, they're all explicit in the psukim. V'hanich midrasha asya, and this is coming to, we went out from a drasha. So, as a little bit of an introduction, as I said, only Chamaiso is Mefurish in the Psukim. So you can't say that bas ishto too. This is not mafurish. It's only learned through a drasha. So the Mishnah is only talking about chamoso, but still, our Mishnah should have said shenasa. So it must be she's not married, but there's no isser of bas ishto or chamoso. So why is there an isser sreifa? So anichla by the mashmayis darshin ikabenayu. So maybe the whole notion is how you darshan words. So masnisin mani Rabbi Kiva el Rabbi the Yomer chamaiso achamisi ikabenayu. The tak is a nafkamina. You're having tashmish with your daughter, with your mother-in-law after your wife has died. So masnisin mani. So machrava tani. You should insert habal isha shenasabita. That this is the only isra of chamoso that you're actually married. That's the idea. So again, the question is, it should have said shenasa, which of course it did. So therefore, we assume that we're not married. So then, why would there be an isra of bas ishto or chamoso? So the answer is because they were married. That's all it is. Yesh b'chal ishu vita chamoso v'em chamoso v'em chamav. So we say that chamoso is beferish, and that is explicit, but all these other things are not. So Abaye, according to Abaye, added a kaboy lemisna aim chamav. Why? Since there is a chiddush in your mother-in-law's mother, tani nami chamoso, the aim chamoso. That's why it mentions mother-in-law and your mother-in-law's mother. Because the truth is, it's something which we learn out beferish anyway. So according to Abaye, aim chamoso is meforish in the Torah as well, not just chamoso, but also aim chamoso. But the whole chiddush is aim chamav. Your father-in-law's mother. The whole machlokas Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel is how to darshan the psukim, as we'll see on Ayin Vavam and Beis. But everyone holds aim chamasai is mafurish in the Torah, so there's no halachic difference. Again, this is a sugya we're going to see not even here. So we're quoting Abaye, which is really from later on. So he holds that the whole chiddush is aim chamav, your father-in-law's mother, because not only chamaso is mafurish, aim chamaso is also. Rabbi, I did the kabbalah and missed the aim chamav. The truth is, we need to teach aim chamav, the father-in-law. The aim chamaso taninama chamaisai. So the Rashash elaborates on this, and it's a shtickle. He says a shtickle daichik. He mentions two for no reason, just to teach one thing, and therefore it makes Rava sound better. Okay. Anyway, according to Rava, chamaiso is mafurish in the Torah, but not aim chamasoi. So again, that's the nafgim, the machlokus. Even though aim chamaso is still usher, the question is it learned out beferish on the psukim, or is it only learned out from chamaso? So if you had bia with your mother-in-law after your wife died, so Lefi Rabbi Shmuel, there is a chiyuv sreifa. But according to Rabbi Kiva, there's only an isser, not a chiyuv sreifa. So again, because the whole drasha of chamaso is mafurish in the Torah, he learns out, as we saw over here, the nafkamina, according to Rava, he says chamaso lachamisa. Is what's the din chamaso lachamisa? Are you chayes sreifa or is it a lav? No min hanmila. So Tanuan ish yikach isha ves ima, person who takes a woman as mother. Ainli el ishtov ima, which is ishtov ima means the mother is your mother-in-law because you took a wife and her mother, which is chamaisai. So again, beferish in the Torah is no question. Chamaso is beferish. Bas ishu bas bita bas benamanayin. How do we know you're not only her, but also your wife's daughter, your daughter's daughter, her daughter's daughter? Never kan zima, never zima. Malhan bita bas bita bas bena. Kan bita bas bena. So we include all these people as well. So how do we know that we treat boys and girls the same? Nemer kan zima, nemer holan zima. Mal holan zachar nekavis, av kan zachar nekavis. So we learn out through this Gzer Shava that there's no difference between Zachar and Nekeva, and also it comes to include these other relationships. Manayin lasos lamata kilamala. How do we know that we make below like above? So Nemer kan zima nemer holan zima mal hol lamata kilamala avkan lamata kilamala. So it's not just going down her descendants, but also her her ancestors. So Omar Mar, Menayin Las Zacharim Kinekavis. So my Zacharim Kinekavis. What does that mean? Okay, we're saying that Zacharim like Nekevas. What does that mean practically? Ilema is coming to tell you Basbana Kibas Bita, that your son's daughter is usher to take, just like your daughter's daughter is usher to take. So Bahadi Adadi Kasyan. Understand, we learned that together. We already said that they're linked together. So you wouldn't need this extra drasha of saying Zacharim Kinekavis, because we already know that. El Eim Chamav Ke'eim Chamaisai. It's coming to tell you that just like your father-in-law's mother is usher, so to your mother-in-law's mother is usher. Now Hashta. Im Chamaisai Lo Kamalan. If with regard to your mother-in-law, we haven't established any chov to we didn't even learn anything about Eim Chamasa. We only learned about Chamaisai. Again, the question is, as we learned, is Eim Chamasai also is that a drasha, right? Or is it only Chamasas? So we're saying, just like the father-in-law's mother is also to you, your father-in-law's mother is also to you, just like your mother-in-law's mother. What do you mean? You don't know anything about your mother-in-law's mother. We haven't established that. So Eim Chavav Mihader law. So how could we compare it to the father-in-law's mother to the mother-in-law's mother? We haven't learned anything about that either. We don't have. Maybe we don't have a pasuk to support that. As we continue, Ayin Hey Amud Beis. So Rabbi Hachikar Minayin Lasos Share Haba Mimenu Kisher Haba Mimenu Nemer Kanzim Nemer Ho and Zimahu. How do we know that when it comes to relatives, share his own daughter, not through kiddushin, but it's just his own daughter, that Haba Mimenu comes from him, is Kisher Haba Mimena, is the same as his daughter's kids. So that's what the drasha is. So what we're basically saying is, when we say males, we're talking about husbands. When we talk about females, we're talking about wives. So your wife's daughter is learned from the previous Gezer Shava. And here we compare to his kroivim that he's also chayiv. But when it comes to his krovim, it doesn't say the word zima. So Marabba, Armuli Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Abdimi, Asya Hena Hena, Asya Zima Zima. So you need an extra step to be able to get to where we needed to go. So Taisus over here says we see the wife's krovim are actually more usher to him than his own relatives. Like he can't marry his wife's grandmother, but he could marry his own grandmother. So how can you compare that? So that's the issue that the Taisus brings down. The Ran says the Gezer Shav of Zima Zima, that you can't ask questions. Lameidim and Mashivin on a Gezer Shav where the Psukim are extra. Okay, that's how the Ran answers this. Omer Mar Minayin. How do we know Lasais Lamatik Lamala? So my Lamatik Lamala. What does that mean? Ilima Baspanag Ubaspita. That your son's daughter and your daughter's daughter's Kabita is like your daughter. Bahadi Adadi Kastin. We'll learn this all out together through the Gezer Shav as we saw before. Rather, it means that your father-in-law's mother and your mother-in-law's mother has the same din as your chamoisai. So that's why it says that we go up a generation. It's not just your mother-in-law, or your father-in-law, but also the generation above that. Since Eim Chamav is the one that's higher, so it actually should be written the other way around. So Tani Lamal Kilomata, that the higher generation, now there's the mother-in-law's mother, has the same din as the mother-in-law. If that's the case, never kan zima never hon zima. When it comes to Im Chamav, it's not mentioned in the Torah at all. Zima did huksiva. So you can't learn out the Gzer Shava. So Rabbi Hachikam, how do we know that we can make the 3 generations above like the 3 generations below? In other words, generation number 1 is the wife. The generations below are Bito, your daughter, and the 3rd generation below is Bas Bita, your daughter's daughter. And we learn out that because it says Zima. 3 generations above is your wife's mother, which is Chamav, which we see is the punishment of Sreifa. The generation above her is Eim Chamav and Eim Chamaisai. So that's what it's referring to, the 3 generations. So, Nemar Lamata Zima, Nemar Lamal Zima, Malamata Shoshadiris, which includes your granddaughter, Afal Mal Shoshadiris. So too, it's not just your mother-in-law, but your mother-in-law's mother. Umab Oinish, by a punishment, Asilumat Kilomala, Afbazhar Nami Asilumat Kilomata. Ravashi Emru Oyum Kedetani. It's really the way it's written. So Hena is by his relatives, Hena is by his relatives, and by her relatives we learn the Gzer Shava of Zim Zim. So Ravashi says Oyum Kedetani Mag Lamata Lamata B'Isser. It just means there's a less punishment. The bigger punishment is Chamav, and the other ones are not the punishment of Sreifa. If that's the case, Mahi Aim Ima Surah, just like over there we said your grandmother's Aser Avhu, so too by his own grandmother Aim Ima Surah, but we know it's only Midrabanan. So Rabbi Amar Kra Im Chahi Mishum Imo Atamachavi Atamachavi Mishum Aim Imo. So he only chai because of imo, not aim imo. Rabbi Omer, Bain Lamadi Emer, Dain Mina Mina, Bain Lamadi Emer, Dain Mina Voki, Batra, you have to look at the context, Lasya. Lamadi Emer, Dain Mina Mina, that when it comes to Yershav, you can learn everything back and forth, Mahi. Im Ama, Ima Surah, Afhu Nami, Aim Imo Surah. Just like the mother's Aser, so to the grandmother's Aser, Umina. Mahi B'Sreifa, just like the mother. Now we're talking about Chamoiso. Your wife's mother is B'Sreifa. Avhu Nami B'Sreifa. So we're going to learn out that the Isser of Chama, it's not just Isser of Chamasai, but also your mother-in-law's mother will also be an Isser Sreifa. No, maybe not. Umandi Emer Sreifa Chamura Equal Mifrach. If you hold Sreifa is very strict, you can say Ma Lehi Shechein Ima B'Sreifa. The mother-in-law gets sreifa, termed by who? Shema b'skila. When it comes to the married mother-in-law's mother, so it's Eishasish. Actually, Taimer bahu she'imo b'skila. Let's see this Rashi here. Don't mean to me no. L'chol devarahu l'nimlim menu mi'achar she'ikru. You can learn out everything from it, right? So we said that maybe Taki gets Sreifa. So Kaloimer Masher Ishto Aim Imo B'Sreifa Hi Afu Sher Shaloi Sreifa. Okay, but we can say Ma Lehi L'Sher Ishto Dinhu L'Hach L'Aseres Aim Ima Shkin Hichma Kosav Al Imo L'Sreifa Vyashkan but sad chomer, but oid imo beskila shehikala im imo tehi b'sreifa chomer. But to me, okay. So this is saying that maybe sreifa is more chomer than skila. So if chamaiso is sreifa, so timer can we learn out behushi imo beskila? So there's no comparison, not the same. But oid imo beskila, if the mother's skila, which is chamaiso, im imo b'sreifa, so then the mother is sreifa, so it makes no sense. Why would it be more chamer? Why do we not make a distinction that we say just like they would make a distinction between the mother and the mother's mother? That's sreifa. La'im imo skila. So Madir skila chamura, and the one who says that skila is more chamer than sreifa, mahi kushil nidunya. You can't. It's a question. The last part is a good question. That its own context mahi im imo asura afunami imo asura. That she's just usher, your mother-in-law's mother. But uki batra hasam hu de besreifa, but v'hacha b'skila kidashkan beimoy. We find by beimoy. No. Well, madir misreifa chamura. One who says sreifa is chamur, as we said, you can ask the kasha ma lehi shechein ima b'sreifa temer hu shima b'skila. So there are different punishments, and sreifa is more chamur. Vod hu kehi mahi lo chalakta ba ben bito le'em ima. We don't make a distinction between her and her mother's mother. Afhu lo chalata boy ben bitoi la'im imo. So you should get sreifa. So therefore, we'll stop here, but the sugi just continues along this form of thought process. All right, let's see. Not the easiest sugya, but let's see, maybe there's a question lurking over here. Question 11. Ve'elohen anasravim, mabal isho bita. Yesh b'chlal isho bita, bita bas bitoi. Ve'elo rayas kavenas hatayna ba'omru isho bita. What is that referring to? It says isha ubita. So one shot is, that's referring to that isha is aim chamaisai, your mother-in-law's mother. So Afiyabaya, this too is mefarish in the Torah. And Bita is referring to Chamaiso, your mother-in-law. So Bita is no question is mefarish in the Torah. The question is Aim Chamaiso, your mother-in-law's mother. Question 12. What does that mean? So Zacharim, which we said is husband, so Sher Haba Mimenu, a relatives that come from him, the Hainu Bito, his daughter, Ma'unu Sasai. The Kavos, which is referring to his wife, Sher Haba Mimena, relatives from her, the Hainu Bas Ishto, your wife's daughter, Ben Shehi Bito, Ben Shehi Chorgato. So, what it means, Zacharim the Kavos, is that just like there's an Isser to have Tashmish with your daughter, Bito Ma'unu Sasai, so to Banakeva to have tashmish with your wife's daughter as well. Okay, so let's continue. TA 24. Ve'elhin asrafim habal isha bita ma'abir isha bita ve'eza erba hi isha. So there you go. It's the same question. Challenging question. Oh, the iri b'chamaiso ve'em chamaso. We're talking about your mother-in-law and your mother-in-law's mother. The isha hainu em chamaso. Oh, tani isha shenasa bita. Or we're just talking about a woman who married a daughter. So it's definitely chamasai. The shaila is it also aim chamasai? So that's basically what that is. This is TA 24. TA 24. Question TB 25. Esmi kino chazal ani rasha arum. I don't think we did. Adkan.